Hey, well, first of all, I'd like to say, and the ASB are gonna find me, because I want to be a part of this fucking dumb wannabe tennis tour.
You know, I think they got his testicles so far up their mouths that this is bullshit, you know?
I'm not thinking about that right now. I'm just thinking about having won the world title and hopefully trying to win another one someday. You just drop in and just smack the quarterback. Drop down, snap, Well, I'll tell you, Stu, I did battle some humongous waves.
Oh, just the paper thing?
Oh, surf looks good, Alvin.
Not bad.
Ain't That Swell with Jed and Vaughn.
Oh, those guys are back! Get a haircut.
Yes, shredheads, waxheads, kooks and barnies. Welcome to Ain't That Swell, the radio show and now TV show, Vaughn. Woo! Dedicated to cutting fucking sick. I'm your host, the two-time Gold Cone Piece Award-winning surf journalist, Scum Valley's finest himself, the punch-drunk pikey, the sultan of psilocybin, the maestro of micro-dosing, Smithy. I'm joined here, as always, by my loyal co-host and friend, frontman of the Goons of Doom, former editor of Surfing World Magazine, Tracks Magazine, Waves Magazine, Vaughn Corn Deadly. Welcome to the program, Vaughn.
Thank you, Smithy. Great to be here. Great to be in the ATS. What is this joint?
A bunker?
Bunker? Okay, yep. I think with
A utopia,
the way the world's going, the bunker's probably a good call, and good to have some special guests in here with us today, Smithy.
It's my absolute pleasure and privilege to welcome to the program Wade Goodall.
Thanks, Smithy. Stoked to be here. Listened to the show heaps at the start and then lost interest.
You and me both, mate.
Yet here we are.
Just got busy, I guess.
I found it really hard to listen to podcasts during COVID for some reason. I used to just listen to heaps of them, and it's tricky. It's tricky now that I've got so much TV to watch. That's why we're on here, right?
That's right. Tune in, drop in, punch one, and tap out. And of course, Surfcore2001, the North Coast's finest specimen. Welcome to Ain't That Swell, the inaugural television episode, Surfcore.
1,000 is not enough. 2,000 is not enough. Surfcore.
2001.
Yeah, cheers, boys. Glad to pop the YouTube cherry with you. It's mental. It's a really good studio we've got set up here, too.
I'm loving that textured Joel Parkinson DHD 80YZ logoed
Yeah, how
rim
fucking...
job you've got on.
Yeah, it's pretty red hot. DHD went all out on the merch when Parker was red hot in his junior years. So, yeah, stoked on it.
What did that cost you on eBay? I imagine a few grand at least.
Nah, I think it was one of the treasures that we pulled out of Parker. Oh, no, Stace Galbraith got it for me. Apparently DH, before the factory unfortunately burnt down, had like a full crypt of just like core artifacts from his days. And he had just like box on box on box of Y2K era visors. I'm fucking hyped on it. I've got a black one too. So this one's my day one. That's my formal attire.
Did you ever as a hardcore fan of that era buy the little shark tooth necklaces out of the back of Tracks magazine in the classifieds?
I fully did. This is a
That's one of
Bico
them, isn't
one here. Yeah. This one's been around for ages, but I fully had a shark tooth one. But then I got scared that like a shark had like smell.
Bad
like
juju.
I like watched a doco once, and it was like about how good sharks' sense of smell is, and if they could smell like a dead shark or something, like the little shark tooth, and be like, oh, that's my mate. That's my mate's tooth. Like, what are
Wayne
you doing
Rabbit
with that?
Bartholomew actually told me once that he'd never eaten shark in his life, never eaten flake. I was like, I thought that was pretty much the menu in the Gold Coast, just fish and chips.
I can't believe he can
3 meals a
avoid it
day?
and cool.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Serve. Yeah.
But yeah, he reckons just no good. No good. Don't eat shark and they won't eat you. That was his theory.
Really? Yeah. Wow, that's some deep karmic advice there.
He's a pretty karmic dude, Rabs. Remember in the days before the really intense surf forecasting, Rabbit used to be the contest director at all of the Aussie Junior events.
Wow, so he's the only man trusted.
They used
the
to
only
say
oracle
they'd run
trusted.
photos of him in tracks like on a phone, which back then there was no real mobile phone. So he had one of those big brick ones, and there'd always be a caption that said "Rabbit on the phone to Huey," and that sort of kept rolling as he started taking over contest directing of like the Kira Pro when it was at Kira. And then he scored just year
the
after
Billabong
year.
Super Challenge on the South Coast. No one scored the South Coast that good since.
That was the fucking. There's like an old like quarter page ad in Tracks where there was like a 1-300 like bugs or something, and you'd call it and you get the Goldie Surf Report, and it'd be like you'd call it and it would go to a message bank, and it would be like that week's surf report and it'd be Bugs narrating it. Like, it's so iconic. Yeah, I saw an ad for it the other day.
Do you reckon all the spare change from those ads went straight into the Bricky's laptops, did he?
I don't think they had laptops in those days, but
they covered the
you'd think so.
refurbishing at like 20s that they're doing.
Just pulling the lever though.
Yeah, that's right. Twin Towns was just one spiralling cathedral to poker machines before Rabs' message bank kicked off. But wild. Imagine how many secret spots and just the guy has so much knowledge.
We've got to get him on one day. I think he's actually been doing a podcast with Tim Baker. I'm pretty sure they're doing something called Rabbit Tales. And I know Goodsy's, he's obviously right up on the podcast if he's stopped listening to us. So you haven't heard it, mate?
No, not Rabbit.
Give it a whirl.
Who's Tim
Give it a
Baker?
whirl.
Is that the guy from...
He is...
He's a writer.
Oh, yeah.
World famous surf writer / magazine editor. He edited Tracks. He edited Surfing Life. And he famously had a run-in with Smithy in Jeffreys Bay once.
What happened?
But they've made up and everything's good now, right?
Oh, he wanted to go until I put it on him. But
what's that Baker guy on the news? The peroxided hair one?
Corey,
Simon Baker.
Nah, he's the mentalist.
Are you thinking Pete Evans?
Yeah, nah. He's torched.
He was out at Cabba the other day on like a fucking like Tomo fucking Slater designs looking like a full reptile.
Full reptile, good recipes, apparently.
Yeah. Well, Wade, thanks for coming, mate. But it's all about your film, really. Pentacoastal. What's the feedback
Congrats, mate.
been like?
thank
It's
you
an
so
absolute
much.
Epic.
Stinker.
It's been really good. If you've ever created anything, you know how close you get and how much you look over it, and you get desensitized by release time. I had no idea whether it wasn't the most boring thing I've ever seen. You know, I was totally scorched on it. But since its release, the feedback has been insanely positive, and I listened to people whose opinion I actually listened to, and they've all been good. So it's checked out. So I feel like really, really accomplished now to direct my first film of that magnitude and get it out and actually pull that off, because it was a big learning curve. It was a big, just sort of a go for it for myself.
Because you're coordinating, the van's stable of talent. I don't know what that entails, the logistics of getting people to certain waves and spots on time. I mean, that must be incredibly difficult.
Logistically, it's crazy. And just, I hate asking people to do stuff as well. That probably stems from hate being told to do stuff. So it was really hard to I'm not the best at forecasting either, which is a huge thing. And you're calling up like Nathan Fletcher or Dane Reynolds or anyone to come to like the other side of the earth, and then the waves are shit, which happened a bunch of times. It's just it's hard. That gets rough. But
Gotta call Rabbit.
yeah, I should have called up Rabbit.
Is that message bank still
Get
active,
off,
that
print
1-300
charts.
number?
Charts up though.
Gotta give it a call.
Yeah, channel9isobar.com.
I felt the second it came on the screen, you knew you were in for something special. You know, the animations, the drawings, it had a great atmosphere and a good feel right from the get-go. And I think that, that's a bit of a hallmark of everything that you've lent your name to or your creativity to over the years. So did you have an end goal in mind in terms of, how you wanted this thing to look? I know that the concept is really cool, the pentagram on the map. But did you have a full vision in your head of how you wanted this thing to turn out?
Yep, 100%.
Good on you, man. Fuck, that's good to hear, eh?
Yeah, it was all on paper before I even asked anyone to be involved, and that's why I had so much passion. I just like when you're creative in many different ways. When those ideas come, you just got to act on them, especially ones you fall in love with. So that was one that I just had to follow through with, and been involved with making movies before, but not as the director, not as coordinating, not as sort of it was my dream come to reality. So yeah, I had once I started the idea, it kind of just came from me wanting to stay in Oz for the winter, sick of Indo, can't handle the crowds anymore.
Valium.
Yeah.
Pseudo. Mushroom.
I'm done.
Cocaine. You want? Jiggy. What could you get sick of about that word?
You tell me.
Gilan.
Everyone's different, but fuck, I was over it.
Careful what you wish for, mate, because you might be going back there for could be 15 years.
Yeah,
the way
that's what I'm
things are
trying to
going.
say. I'm totally fine with that.
Yeah.
So I wanted to stay in Oz, and then I was looking at the shape of Australia, where I want to go, listening to a Nick Cave song, Brompton Obituary one day. He says the word Pentacoastal, and it sort of just dawned on me in my head. I said Pentacoastal, and then I just raced home, got the map of Australasia out, drew an upside down pentagram on it, and I was like, that's exactly where I want to go for the next winter.
Wow.
And that's where the art direction for the poster came.
Was the poster superimposed over a Ouija board while you were doing this?
Nah. See, like it's funny. It's like it seems so dark, and it's like people relate the pentagram straight away to the devil. And
Did you have many conversations with the Dark Lord over the course of the 3 years of the filming? Was he coming to you in visions? Did you see him in certain
Surely during
barrels?
some of those skunkings he was hovering above your head.
Nah. Since COVID, he's been locked down there. He can't come up. So I'll talk to him after all this shit.
Coughing his lungs out.
But it in no way is it satanic or occultish at all. The pentagram I used was an elemental one, coming from the pagan pentagram. So that's what. Yeah, I'm not the Antichrist.
No, you're just some kind of pagan.
Yeah,
You're just a very naughty boy.
But tell us about some of these, like some of the trips. I know there was a mad dash to score P-Pass. Start with that one.
Yeah, so every trip for the first 8 months was really shit. And we got to the end stage of the budget and time frame, and it was really rubbish. We had I had maybe 3 waves of Dane from an Indo trip that was at the level that I wanted for the film.
Well, when you're drawing upside down crucifixes on the map of Australia way, you're tempting fate.
Yeah, I guess so. I guess I'm so separated from that. I just like the art aesthetic. That's it. I don't look past it. I don't remember anything in my life. I remember aesthetics, so that's where that.
What's the headspace and the convos like with sponsors within the team when you've done? How many months did you spend on phase 1? Do you think?
It was about 9 months of filming.
You've got
surfing.
3 waves in the bag, and
Pretty
you're just
much at the level where I wanted it, and then I asked for an extension, and they were all good. They've been super supportive the whole time. They believed in me, but they were also like, kick up the ass. What's that? Apocalypse Now. Yeah, I remember Scott saying to me, "Oh, we don't want another Apocalypse Now, do we, mate?" And I was like, "Shit." That resonated. I was like, I'm not failing this extension.
Who would have been your Marlon Brando? I assume a morbidly obese Dane Reynolds showing up in somewhere in the distant reaches of Sumatra.
He kind of has the
hooked on Valiums. Can't surf, no boards, no fins.
Late career Elvis situation. Yeah, but once P-Pass popped up, we were in Port Macquarie.
The other P-Pass.
Kettling around, yeah. And that Swell came up, and we just me and Shayna just went for it, and we were just like, this is make or break. And it was psychotic. We booked the flights, drove straight from port to the airport overnight in Brizzy, and flew there. And if anyone's been there, they know the trek that it is. even though we're rocking up late, it might have been windy.
What kind of a trek is it? How many flights? How many boats? How many tuk-tuks?
It can go from it can be 2 and it can be 4. So it usually takes about 2 days, a stopover, a multi-island sort of hop. But it is one of the most draining legs you can do, but it's expensive. So it's like it's a roll of the dice for sure. But I've had a good track record, and I know people that know that wave really well, so I'm always in there here.
Bugs,
pretty quick.
I assume.
Scardy, Alois from PPAS. I've got trusting people to help me out with choices. But so that trip saved the whole movie. Once me and Shano went there, we come home and like, yeah, we're on. Like we could save this thing.
And so like, just break it down though. Like you literally got there with like the swell had already hit, and you had, what was it, like an afternoon to get clips and the next morning or something like that. Like you travelled for fucking 4 days or 2 days or whatever it was. And talk to us about that.
The pass depends on the swell, but you're usually in for 3 days at least in a swell. The ones I've gone on anyway. So we rocked up the morning of what was meant to be the biggest, and I remember getting like off the plane, and my friend Mitch, who has a camp there from Hawaii, he's like, it's the best day we've seen in ages, mate. And I was like just yelling at the baggage handlers to hurry up. We got out the front. There was a bunch of Japanese guys with us staying at the camp, and I picked up their board bags and threw them in the van before it had even stopped. And they were freaking out on me. I was like, we gotta fucking go right now. And we got out there at like lightning speed.
Did he mow?
Yeah. And because I thought that was the day, and as soon as we could get there, we knew we were going to miss that morning. But that day turned out amazing, and then the next day turned out amazing, and then the next little bump ended up being bigger. So it was just like 3 days of like good size P-Pass and really, really uncrowded. Like I surfed a good chunk of that by myself for 3 days because of the backdoor shootout being on. No one came from Hawaii.
So scary, man.
No one
that
came
doesn't
from
look that
Oz.
fun to me. It looks too hectic. I don't know. What about you, Smithy? I don't know if I could sack up by myself in surf like that.
Yeah, the line of water, the shoulder on it must look fucking harrowing as you're paddling into it. I know on the smaller days it's fucking cylindrical and perfect, but my good mate Dane Bernheim, Squiddy, Jeremy Flores' film, he nearly died out there, and he fucking rips like just too deep in the pit. Hit his scone on the bottom, and they found him fucking face down. He's lucky to be alive.
Hell.
But what's it like being out there on your Pat Malone and staring at just fucking stacked lines of absolute Pacific Roy?
Fuck, it's a dream come true. It's like I was saying earlier with Indo and stuff. I was like, I'm rubbish in crowds, and I've been getting more of a disdain for it. So that was like, I don't know. It was like every trip that was fucked coming back and giving in. But just sitting out there by yourself is really hard because it is semi-open ocean. It is a pass, but it's also very deep water out the back. Not much of a landmark to go off. You just have one buoy that's kind of like off your side out. So I swear I looked at that buoy. I was going to go and draw a face on it after it because it was like that was who I hung with that.
Well done! Well done!
How'd you finally?
Yeah.
Wilson the buoy calling you into him.
Yeah,
this one.
that round little redhead over there just helped me have my lineup for days. But it was just that was a trip of my life, I think, for sure. And that wave is scary at times, but it's perfect. Like you once you're out there and you feel the speed it generates for you, you can make shit. And it's like an Indo perfect wave on many waves, but it's also like an Indo wave into a slab, which is what I love. Like that's the best.
Can you you must have copped a couple of bone rattlers out there.
Yeah, for sure.
Can you take us through sort of a wipeout where you were caught off guard? Because just the other day, Smithy, I was surfing Lennox and a guy kind of crumbled a section. I went to go around it and just got caught in that weird right on that little bump zone where the lip kind of hits the rail of your board, and it just fucking detonated me so badly, like out of nowhere. And I was underwater laughing, just going, fuck, that hasn't happened for ages. And then I didn't feel any pull on my leggy. I was like, oh, no. Fuck. And, yeah, sure enough, I come up and there's me board just getting ragdolled along the rocks.
Yeah.
The one that Connor O'Leary just gave me, by the way. So
That was our board, Vaughn.
our board. But actually, you should have a go on it now that none of the fins are in it. But no, can you take us through one out there? Because, like, you know,
I'm sure you're cracking up at the bottom of a 10-foot.
10-foot by yourself, knowing that, you know, there's you got to be rolling around down there for a bit.
Yeah, you just get kind of rolled there. If you don't, the gnarly bit is if you fall on that end bowl. That's where it drains. It goes really, really below sea level, and that's where you're going to hit if you go down. But I got away with heaps of shit on that trip. You just kind of get rolled, do a lap of the lagoon, and come back out. I mean, when I'm not on trips, I'm like at home doing the cleaning and school run and shit, and I need to get worked out P-Pass. I really need it. I want some adrenaline so bad.
Just to feel something.
I need, yeah.
Better than cutting yourself.
Yeah. That like perfectly triangular Vegemite sandwich ain't cutting it anymore.
But you
Is
realise
that no crust, Dad?
Yeah, Louis no crust.
Kids get to school, open their lunchbox, and there's just pentagrams everywhere.
Vegemite pentagrams.
And you realise you literally are the Colonel Kurtz of surfing, disdain for crowds, just travelling as far and distant to some strange pass so you can surf on your own, 10-foot cones.
Yeah, it's a worthy mission.
Yeah, sorry, mate. I didn't mean to drop in there, but I just wanted to ask. We mentioned Shane Fletcher before, who we should give props to because incredible job. He's a master at what he does. But when Aussie and Cowboy were filming 156 tricks for a year and spending a lot of time in each other's pockets, for a couple of funny things went down. I think Aussie had one of the best sessions of his life on this French shorey. It was sort of perfect surf for him, doing big airs when not many people had really been stomping them and linking them together, and he had a crowd just sort of gathering, and pretty soon they were just cheering, like
baguettes up in the air, people waving scarves.
Just going absolutely crazy for him, and he turns around and goes, "Where's Cowboy?" And Cowboy had actually met some chick who'd gone down to Spain for the day. He'd
split and searched a bit of the old in-out.
And I was walking around going, hang on, that was like the best surf I've ever had. I was getting cheered on every wave and no filmer. And I know on another trip they did, I think they ended up coming to blows at an airport, just grabbing each other around the neck and just fully punching on.
But they do it to you, Vaughn. They do it to you, the airports.
They do. But I'm just, the relationship between the filmer and the surfer, when it's a partnership, when you're both fully invested in a project and you both want it to be, as good as the other. Did you find any moments where the feathers started to ruffle?
Yeah, for sure. And it was just through being tired and just, we both try so hard with whatever we're doing. He is like an absolute perfectionist to the point where it's crazy when it comes to editing and filming. So there was heaps of shit, but it was just being tired and trying too hard. And
did you bash him? That's what I want to know.
Hey, Fletcher's a big rig.
Yeah,
he looks like he could have
yeah.
played second row for the Burleigh Bears.
Did he fold you up and put you in his backpack and just go, I've had enough?
No, you know what? It was a real good collaboration.
Great.
I want to say that because it was everything I lacked, he kind of had, asking people about financial stuff or just organizing shit that I'm not the best at, and then other times I would help him at stuff he needed to. But so I think our minds
shaving his back and stuff like that.
Yeah, like that.
Bleaching his corn.
Yeah, I didn't shave it. I just used Nair. It just wipes.
Undoing his balloon knot.
Yeah, but no, I think we complemented each other really good. I think the editing and the deadline was crazy, and we just butted heads on a few things, but that's just the creative.
It's a masterpiece, mate.
It is.
But he was so always so respectful that it was my vision
On your Shana.
and it was my art direction, and he would bring points to me that were very valid, and I would take them, but there would be also
Points like
stuff that he would just say, okay, this is what you want. This is what you want.
So I'm
and like that felt so good for me.
I'm assuming it came from Shane, you know, like, Wade, I don't want to bring this up, mate, but it's 8 months in the filming. We've got 3 clips.
Don't worry. I was like the biggest case study. You could have followed me around and maybe documented some self-combustion. There was like 3 moments where I thought I was going to disintegrate into particles during the making, but yeah, he didn't need to tell me shit. I knew what was wrong at all times.
Now, I've got to nut this out too. Tell me about the Ponape, the P-Pass McValue meal. I understand at the convenience stores there, they the McValue meal, the Ponape McValue meal. It's a joint, a coconut water, and a lobster burger or something like that. They're selling joints at the convenience stores over there.
I haven't tapped into the meal, but because if you've ever had a joint and a coconut, you don't really need anything else. But yeah, the joint situation is really good over there. That's another one of the reasons I love that place. You can get joints delivered to you wherever you are.
What?
Pre-rolled is $1, a fat one's $2, and I think you can get a stick for $20.
Okay, it's competitive.
Yeah, it's really nice. So you just kind of have. And there's also a drive-through. There's a house that you.
I thought so.
Yeah, that's maybe what you're thinking.
Yeah.
There's this house that your taxi guy goes down a driveway, a little carport, and an actual window that opens, and you buy pre-rolled
That's great.
joints and you go.
There are entrepreneurs, Vaughan. They're in P-Pass. Did you actually have a look at the factory? I know, like, you go to parts of Germany, you can go on the brewery tours, and did you go to the P-Pass joint rolling factory?
No, like the Macca's freezer.
Yeah, exactly.
no. I was kind of sketched because I don't know. I don't really want to get caught doing the wrong thing there. So definitely wasn't hanging too hard. There's some sketchy places there, mate. You're in the middle of the Micronesia. That place is really special. It has a very piratey feel. It is dank and it is beautiful, and I don't know. It's just everything. It is a very like a Caribbean vibe, but a bit darker, deeper water. You know,
and it's kind of a recent discovery as far as the mainstream surfing consciousness goes. I guess it come on the map with like the first footage I saw was Dan Ross getting fucking giant 10-foot cones back in the day, and then Dorian in the campaign like maxed out P-Pass, and I just remember my fucking eyes falling out of my skull when I first saw Rossi just stand. I was like, what is this? It looks like fucking, I don't know, a mix of reversed chopes and like backdoor rolled into one.
I remember that trip. That was with Grambo, right?
Yeah.
Really big and blue, like
big kind of
crazy
chip
looking.
shot, rolled, like a bit of
Yeah.
shippies in it too. It was a fucking wild
It was a
giant.
monster though.
Yeah.
Yeah, Alois just put that up on the Pohnpei Surf Club Instagram. A couple of those clips is Dorian, Matthews, Rossi. I'm not sure who else is there, but it's such an iconic wave. It is my favorite wave in the world for sure. I haven't surfed a right that good anyway. It's crazy, but it's fickle too. It's like it's hard to get. Start of the year is usually the time, and there might be one, if you're lucky, 2 of those memorable ones a year, you know? And sometimes it doesn't happen for a year. So although it is
And
the caliber of wave it is, it's like it's hard to get to.
The Hawaiian boys are onto it. Like, do you see those guys up there a fair bit?
Yeah, and it's like actually it's a special place in that way too, because I've been there on 3 other trips with a bunch of my friends from Hawaii also. And I've never been there, and it's been a hassly environment. Every time I've ever been there, it's been sit in line and it's your turn. I've never had any, I've never seen any bad stuff go down the line up there, and that's rare. I don't know if it's like that on a crowded next Swell. Might be a bit hectic.
Man, it's a long way to go to get skunked too. Could you imagine, Vaughan? I mean, we've all been skunked, but just multiply it by $10,000 US.
Trying to think of the furthest I've ever travelled to get skunked. It's probably not too far, Smithy. Maybe just from the front door to North Wall. I don't do a whole lot of travelling to get skunked, mate. But you can't help it sometimes. But I don't know. I can't think. I think 7 Slaves, we didn't get like the greatest surf, but a couple of days at Lance's Left and stuff like that made it worthwhile.
7 days, 7 slaves.
Yeah. That was like, we were hoping to
Didn't
get.
need good waves. That was like the best movie ever.
Yeah, well,
Yeah,
like,
iconic like kettleish waves for Aussie.
it was the 2-foot surf that kind of like broke it open for Aussie, and TB was lighting it up too. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I think if you're a lesser surfer, you can get somewhere, and if it's waist high and not too many people, you can have fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, Pompeii, I don't know. Don't know if I'm ready for it. 6 foot? Love it.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah. You'd love it anyway. You're going so fast. You can get through it.
Finger burns just sitting in a room. They're sweet and sticky and absolutely delicious. Finger burns. Get your face into finger burns.
Number 5.
Brought to you by Surfcore2001. Goodsy brah. This is your life.
Oh, yes. Surfcore.
The 2006 Junior Series. I can't explain. I'm dizzy, said a patently introverted Wade to the reporters on the beach at Janjuk. A tightly contested season coming into the last event, the Moffat Beach Ambassador, was the outside chance against favourites Julian Wilson and Owen Wright. Goodsy got to work on his competitors with his unmatchable small wave progression and kettleish punts, rinsing the Y2K junior icons Laurie Towner, Ben Dunn, Heath Josk, on his way to flogging Central Coast's most washed Matty Wilco in the final. Wilco would later claim that it was his 18th birthday the night previous, and he may have inhibited his own potential by headbutting chalk and sinking Sambucas until the sun came up. But that is just pure, bitter, back-chatting bullshit.
Well said.
Wade was fucking hotter than magma that year and could have beat Wilco with his fucking eyes closed. So I think Wilco should issue a formal apology for that bullshit.
Peel it back, Wilco. Peel it back. Give the man his credit.
Junior Series.
Yeah.
Shit, I never heard that statement from Wilco. That's huge.
And now that you have, are you going to take his fucking head off?
I always see him in the freezer aisle at Foodworks. I'll hit him up.
Mate, I used to commentate a lot of those Junior Series events, and we've talked about this in probably every interview we've ever done together. But you used to like get so frustrated, and I felt like, particularly with yourself, you were one of the only guys other than Aussie, and maybe I haven't seen Kaloe and Dino do it, but like who physically punched yourself in the head mid-heat.
Joe Underoos, pretty iconic.
Joe Underoos done it too, yeah. What were where did that anger come from, that frustration? Was it because you were sort of wedged into competing and it wasn't a natural fit for you, or was it because of your performance, or, how come it elevated itself to a place where you had to lash out?
I don't know. I think I'm really lacking in coping mechanisms, and that's been something I've worked on my whole life. It's not something I'm proud of, punching myself in the head because of a surf contest. It's fucking lame, but I had a pretty troubled youth mentally and stuff, so that all stemmed from that. And it just deeply wanting to do good and deeply disappointed if I didn't. So yeah, it just came from that. I was just pissed off at myself a lot.
Instead of wanting to take the competitor's fucking head off.
Yeah, I never really.
Wade wanted to take his own fucking head off.
Yeah, fuck, you have to do a lot for me to be mad at you. But it doesn't take a lot for me to be pissed off at myself. So I'm still working on that, for sure. That'll be a lifelong thing, trying to better myself, I think.
You're your own worst critic. Isn't it true, Vaughan?
Oh, mate.
Aren't we all our own worst
The head noise that goes on up here between 3 and 5 in the morning sometimes.
Serious. But it's good to be aware of that shit. And I look back in that, like, obviously embarrassed, but also fully take knowledge of it and try not to keep that up.
Did the Junior Series...
I quit that pretty much when I quit that,
Was it, being part of that Billabong team, it was such a massive team by the time you're sort of leaving the Junior Series. Did you know straight away that just comps, that was it, you were done? Did you Kiwi grind for a bit?
I did Kiwi grind for a bit. The Junior Series was so mental. When I was doing it, it was like insanely fun. It was, everyone on there was really fucking cool. People from Hawaii were coming over. It was so many events in a year. We pretty much had a like full blown year.
Big names too, right? I mean,
Yeah.
this is
Really
like
good
Julian
surfing,
Wilson,
like
Owen
mental.
Wright era.
Like when I came into it, I saw like Fano and Bede and Joel Parker like leave in their last year or
Wow.
whatever, you know. So like that's the kind of shit that I was following.
and win CTs.
Exactly,
in
they
that
went
year,
straight
like,
away. Yeah,
wow.
Crazy.
So the level was crazy for that series at that point. And it continued like all the way through. My era was maybe a bit more rogue, I feel like. I feel like a lot of natural talent and a lot of fun boys as well at the same time.
Well played, fun boys. Respect to the fun
But then
boys.
it like came just under us, and it's like the guys like Owen and Julian and Wilco, and that went on to great like CT success. So like that whole time, the junior series, and there was money in it, and it was just real fun. Everyone, as soon as you got knocked out, you would just go to the hill and party, and everyone would be getting chicks and drinking, and it was just really fun. It was extremely fun.
Did you
And
have a
then
nemesis? Did you have a nemesis on the junior tour? I'm always curious to know what, like, you know,
Not
the
really.
grommy arm wrestles.
Not really. I wasn't like, nah. Everyone was kind of evenly matched in results and stuff like that. You talk about that junior series bullshit, but that I won. But I didn't know I was like 8th or something. I didn't know I was even in a chance until we paddled out, and they were like, "Oh, whoever wins this final, by the way, wins the junior series." You're like, "Fuck you!" I can't believe you did that. You just said that to me.
Hope it wasn't me reading
But,
that out. I feel bad now.
Yeah, I did a couple of chop ups and got through somehow. But
Fuck, it was a big deal, the junior series.
yeah, the junior series was mental, and that was my last event last year on it, and I just finished on such a high that it was really cool. But then through that, I got a seed into the QS, and I did about 6 months. Didn't really like it. Chilled out on it, and then went back the next year to try and do another kick at it. And I think I did another 6 months, and I just mid-heat in Brazil couldn't get a wave after like multiple events, not getting waves in heats from hassling, not even being able to. I went to Fiji, the Pasta Point one, and I didn't get a wave the whole trip.
That's amazing.
Wow.
Even the free surfs, just
Yeah.
locusts.
Yeah, and I was spending all my money, and I was going to like other ends of the earth, not seeing shit, just like going from hotel to comp site, losing, packing, going straight to the other end of the earth. It's not the way to see the world, I realized. And I was just mid-heat in Brazil. I just paddled straight in and walked off and quit that day. And I remember
That's amazing.
Yeah, some guys just quit surfing like that. Like, that's exactly what Occy did the first time he quit pro surfing. It
Yeah.
was just, in a CT, I might have even been late into the draw, like a semi or something, in dead flat Huntington Beach.
Yeah.
And he just paddled in and went, that's it, I'm done.
That's
Finished.
so sick.
Yeah.
That's classy.
There was a period in my life when I was like working out that I'm happy when I do things that make me happy. And I got over that shit. And I wanted to go surf and see the world and properly live the experience of travel and surfing. And
Live
Yeah.
on. Let the man live.
yeah, let me live. And I didn't want to beat
Live your
anyone.
life!
I didn't want to beat anyone. I didn't think I was better than anyone. I just like didn't have it in me. So I quit.
Just on that Past the Point QS.
That thing was so scorched.
I'm pretty sure that Wiggly Dante's got all your waves and everyone else's waves on the whole QS.
Yeah.
Well played,
just
Wiggly.
motoring up the inside and just out frothing everyone, just flying directly at their heads as they tried to paddle, and no one pulled him up on it. It was unbelievable.
Yeah. The positive from that was having a sheesh and watching like Dustin Barker do these huge backside straighties. I remember that. That was worth it for the
That's a worthy memory. Why not?
yeah.
Who says
It's
it
a
was
pretty
all
good
a waste of time.
It's a pretty good
Yeah.
spot too, just having a couple of beers. I mean, I know it's expensive, but sitting on that point there, it's breaking. You could literally throw a tennis ball and hit someone in the head on a wave. It's
I'd love to go there without 300 piranhas.
Number 4.
Amigos. Now, back in the cashed out mid-noughties, if you won or performed well in the junior series, the fruit of your labour would be magazine covers, energy drink sponsors, and even a Surfing Life funded trip to Mexico with the top 5 seeds with their young budding film intern, Kai Neville.
Wow, so they're sending 16, 17-year-old kids to Mexico, chaperoned by Kai Neville. Kidding? What could possibly go wrong?
Yeah, so the 20-minute Sandbottom masterpiece had an amazing cast. We've got Westo's BCF ambassador, Rye Craig. We've got Old Bar's most predictable, Ben Dunn. We've got a pre-shapeshifter era, Yaden Nicol, and Tasmania's most toey, Dion Aegis, and none other than Moffat Beach Mafia's kingpin, Wade Goodall.
Wow,
it's a
sick
cover
trip.
It's a cover mount DVD for the ages. A bunch of Australia's most promising graduating class in Puerto Escondido, in shin skimming trunks and clear as silver before picture mugs. It's some really raucous interviews, but Wade holds his own and then some, with some tapped aerial make rates and a staunch performance on a 6'6" Sparrow pintail no grip out at Solid Puerto. Run us through that trip.
Oh, those were so fun, those trips. That trip especially was so raucous. Yeah, it was just how we got to do that was special and it was fun. But anyway, it's like you go to Puerto Escondido and you think like giant beachy pits, and it was the exact opposite. It was just like little ramps and then a little left point and stuff. It's kind of perfect for us at that point. But we partied heaps. It was really fun to party there.
Talk us through the party scene over there. What does it look like?
We just kind of hung to the beachfront because it was kind of scary. Hadn't been to Mexico before, and you hear all the stories and stuff. So
Who was your chaperone too? Who was?
I can't remember if there was one.
Just 16, 17-year-olds let loose in Mexico.
Yeah,
How fucking crazy is that? Like, if
we were
you tried
pretty.
to...
Sorry.
No, well, like, if you just tried to do that today, it would be like, well, the dads would come and then the surf coaches and then the fucking TMs for everyone.
It's everything that's wrong with surfing, isn't it? Surfcore.
Yeah, it's psycho that it's just the boys.
Yeah, it was just different too then. Like, we were all hardened travelers at that point. 16-year-old at that time had been traveling by themselves for a good, 10 years.
Yeah.
Pretty much. It felt like I went to shit by myself when I was
Walked
so
out the
young.
gates of Moffat Beach Primary
Yeah.
School and never looked back. Had his rucksack on his shoulder and his
Yeah.
board bag under his arm.
And unless you had a turbo dad, you were just out there with your mates and everyone looked after each other and stuff. So that's what we did there. I remember one night, it was pretty funny. There was this bar that was like a library on the beach, and typical just party scene. Some guy challenged me to a cigarette trick smoking contest. And I obliged because I'm from Caloundra. And it went off. It was really good competition. I think he won, but
How?
we both got kicked out.
What was his trick in the Jap's eye? That's a classic.
I actually saw that at Ain't That Swell live in Bondi.
Yeah,
Mental.
Oh, that was Blake Mokley.
Yeah,
Onion
mate.
Moe. Yeah, the Spit the Winkler, the swelling.
What really impressed me wasn't that he could fit the cigarette in his eye, that he could actually smoke out of it.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Unbelievable.
His
He's a
lungs
man
in
of-
his nuts or something. That's amazing.
Man of
Should
many
study
talents.
that guy.
Shout out to Scum Valley's finest himself. Well played.
But yeah, I remember the big thing about that night was getting kicked out and Crakey taking me under his wing, and I kind of really respected Crakey. He was a bit older and did some amazing stuff. You know, he's an insane surfer and funny dude. So he's like, "I'll sort you out, Wado." And he took me back to his hotel room, put on the Disturbed CD, cranked it, and shaved my head. And he's like, "Let's go back to that bar," and he got me back in.
Down with the sickness.
Yeah, yeah.
Who needs electroconvulsive therapy when you've got Ryan Craig in your corner?
Or chaperones? Yeah. But that
Forget
was,
the ice baths. Forget the Wim Hof's, Vaughan.
It was written on the wall for Rye Craig. He won an air show when he was 15? 16. Well, Quicksilver did the air show series.
Yeah.
Is this in your notes, or can I play this one out?
No, go
So
for it.
Quicksilver in Australia, around about right on the turn of the millennium, we're just going, you know what? Fucking, we're sick of waiting around for, airs to come to competition. Let's take the competition to the air guys. Created a tour, and it was just, if you thought that the QS was, house of degeneracy and just absolute loony behaviour, imagine getting Dave Nielsen, James Caddo,
Randy the Goose Welch.
Randy the Goose Welsh. It was
Drew
just
Adler.
this
Bruce Irons was
travelling
in it.
circus of absolute maniacs. And we went over to
Flintoff.
Cottesloe, and Rye Craig won. He won this event in almost non-breaking waves. And, they just drowned him in Emu Bitter. And I think he stayed drowned for the rest of his life, didn't he?
I know whenever you go up to Kalbarri, you can still smell it on him.
Oh, mate, it was sick. But that was a pretty magic era. You got to surf in a few of those too, didn't you, mate?
Yeah, the air show was the best time of my surfing, I feel like. So I was on the junior series, maybe not even yet, maybe early stages. And the air shows started popping off and it looked so mental. And I was obsessed with jumps when I was little because that's all you can do in Caloundra, it's just mini ramps. But I remember hitting up Billabong. I was like, I want to go on these air shows. And they're like, no, you have to go in the junior series. And I was like, well, can't I do both? And they're like, yeah, if you want, but we're not helping you. I was like, okay, cool. And I just flew to Piha. I flew to my first one was New Zealand. Flew to the airport by myself and just sat there the day before the comp and just waited for someone to walk out of the arrivals that I knew was in the comp.
Yeah.
So I did like a good day, and then Jared Sunderland walked out and he gave me a lift to the campsite where he was camping, and he's like, have you got any food, Wade? And I was like, fuck, no, I don't have food either. He's like, okay, we'll go to you. And it was just me and him in the tent the first night, and we just ate mushies and drank something warming.
What's his idea? What's his idea of food? Here you go, mate. This will sort you out. Handful of gold tops straight from the PR headland.
And then the next...
They're from behind Neil Finn's place.
Yeah. But that was the kind of situation it was, and it was like really funny and really fun. And the next day I went to the comp, met Dave Nielsen, and just travelled with him from then on.
Oh, and what was that like? He's
The
a true
greatest.
guru, a true oracle, Dave Nielsen.
Yeah.
There was no
The
aerial
finest
surfing
finest.
in this country before Dave Nielsen. He was the guy. He brought it.
Such a lord.
Yeah, he is the one. Dave is the most iconic and underappreciated surfer in Australian history, I reckon.
What's he doing for a quid these days, Davo? Is he on the hammer and
concreting?
sickle somewhere, wouldn't he?
He's Cretan, I think, for a bit.
No,
I
but,
haven't lost touch.
on
He
the
was up
barra?
in Noosa for a bit. That reminds me I've got to reach out.
but I saw him, last time I saw him, I think I was telling you this story just a couple of eps ago, Smithy. We'd organised a teams challenge up at Newcastle. It was an industry teams challenge event. He was in our team. We sort of had a group meeting the night before the comp, and we were like, all right, see you down there. These are the order of the surfers, blah, blah, blah. I went to bed, and then I woke up at Sparrows the next morning, walked out on the veranda of the pub, and there's Dave with a T-shirt on but no pants, just swinging his pants over his head like a lasso on the median strip outside the pub. It's like 5 a.m. No sleep. Absolutely.
He's so fucking cheeky. He's a true punk, but he's also hell nice too, which I think that was like a bit of a schooling. It's like he's so funny.
Such a nice guy,
So
yeah.
funny, but like he's so nice, but at the same time, like he had Nick Wallace in one heat in Perth or whatever, and he made me draw an upside down cross on his back. So when he went out he went to check in next to Nick, and being a Christian didn't go down too well.
Well played.
But just that kind of shit, I was like, why did you do that? He's like, I don't know, I just had to. He taught me how to fight. He's like, you just bash yourself before they do. Just like his
That's where that lineage of
lessons were
self-harm
so
comes
strange.
from. Aussie Ride, of
I'm
course.
so
Yeah, well,
funny.
that's it. Yeah, Oz
He taught
was
Aussie too.
under
Yeah.
Dave's wing, definitely. That's where he the first time he ever saw an aerial was on a surf trip for tracks, I think, with Dave, and that's steered him. And it's interesting to hear that you were also, basically tutored, mentored by him, because he is just one of those characters, mate. There's no one like him.
No.
Well, I'm stoked to pay tribute to him here. Up the
Definitely.
Davey.
Yeah, Nelson.
Hearing what happens next. Number 3.
Passion pop. When you're a grom, you've already got cutties and floaters down. Try some airs, boys. That was the profound call to action of Wade Goodall's magnum opus, Passion Pop.
You heard the man!
P-Pop was a full tilt reckoning of all things good in surfing in 2006. A stacked field of loose units suckling at the ample teat of a pre-GFC surf industry, whacking it to an unashamed Australian hip-hop soundtrack. Wade was...
Unashamed Australian hip-hop track. Those words do not exist in the same sentence together, Vaughan.
Wade was fucking peaking, bringing tech airs into competitions and unique lines into free surfing. A litany of core icons were in the cast. Memorable moments from fellow Billabong stablemates include Sean Cansell surfing backdoor at night, Taj acid dropping out of a helicopter in a basketball jersey, And Luke Dawes and Woodstock in a go for hell for leather, piss-fueled dance-a-thon. Tribal Elders, Margot and AI, both with some iconic mature age rail game. And Oki coining his iconic phrase, one board, one wax job. Passion Pop was the quintessential scratch disc in every worthy Grom's DVD wallet and as timeless as Diamante bedazzled DC skate shoes and hilltop hoods. Wade, tell us a bit about making Passion Pop and the trick itself.
That was just
incredible.
That was really good. I mean, that time in surfing was fucked up. We had it so easy, and it was a lot of fun. Around that, I don't know why they decided to pick a piddly little shove it that I did to launch that whole scenario. But they did. It's marketing 101. But yeah, somehow that all came together, and it was, I don't know. It was that I'm super embarrassed about the intros that I did with that fucking Strook white flat brim.
I reckon it's so iconic.
It's hard for a kid to come out of Caloundra in the 2000s.
Mate, it was a tough era for youth, really. Youth fashion was, it was an ugly period.
Yeah.
As we can see on show.
But that was so fun, that project. That was my first like humongous surf video to be in. So the fact that they went so turbo and it was really fun. They named it after a bottle of cheap piss that we all got rampant on every weekend when we were little. Like, we didn't have any money. We
Rite of passage in this country.
Yeah. You got $3.50. You got a night. And that's where it came from. Dean Brady named it. I didn't want to name it. Got forced to name it by the corporate pressure. Yeah, I think Dean Brady named it Passion Pop.
That's what you say in the film, yeah.
I
think he says, you drink a shitload of Passion Pop, why don't you just call it that? And then you go,
See, it's cool, like, just emanating coolness.
Yeah, it's
reflecting on this is just takes me back to just how much you'd analyze the videos back in the day. You know, like that's what I'm hoping happens with Pentacoastal, because it was just such a fucking huge deal to any new video coming out, even though they were starting to swamp by then. They were coming out a lot more regularly, but they still meant the world, man. Like, you can speak to anyone who's a grommet underneath you, and they'll talk about how influential that movie was to them.
Yeah, and I appreciate that, and it makes me stoked that people took that away from it. But it's still cooked.
Bring back the sacred texts, Vaughn. You know what I mean? I mean, we've entered this kind of tidbit, web edit era. It's all a bit of a galaxy of bits and bobs, isn't it? I mean, that's what Pentacoastal breaks the mold there. But, I actually just recently found my whole stack of DVDs and VHSs. And it was, it's kind of cool to have it all there. And there are iconic films that still stand up today. And you can put those films on, weirdly, and they're still incredible.
Oh, man.
The surfing still stands up.
Big time.
Almost prefer it.
Yeah,
well,
the cast
Andy's
is
section.
mental too. Yeah, Andy's section is.
Man.
I rewatched it last night. Obviously, Andy and Margot have some fucking insane things. Oki's only got a few waves, but they're fucking ballistic. Luke does. His section is
so good.
fucking tapped. Sean Cancel, amazing. Vassar's got a section in there, a couple of waves. They're mental.
Vassar surf's insane. But yeah, what was I going to say? When cutting that movie, Jake had that Andy section in 2 songs by JJ Cale, and it was the best double song section I've ever seen. It was incredible, and Andy didn't want it. We wanted the amp section, so he got Mickey Avalon, or whatever. But I just remember when it came out and it was Mickey Avalon when it came on, I was just like, because I'd seen that one and it was like just an ode to Morning of the Earth or something, like eternally good surfer to really good music, and it was going to be maybe one of the best sections, but it never came out.
Does it still exist on Donlan's hard
I don't
drive?
know. I'll ask him.
Come on, man.
It was
Ask him.
insane.
Big shout out. Big shout out to Jake.
Straight on YouTube.
Yeah.
Mate, the original collaborator for you. What a powerhouse you two were for a long period of time there.
Yeah, we had a good stint. He's a really talented dude, good friend. Fucking, he's a rat. He's everything good. He's scum Sunny Coast Taunton, come good. Still up there doing the same shit, making stuff for the community. That's what he did for us when we grew up. That's how we started filming and stuff.
Mental community man, go on you.
Yeah, he is. He's a legend.
Donlan.
Shout out Donlan.
Number 2.
Tropical Punch. Wade heads to the Pacific alongside the most stacked team in Billabong history, a team so significant, so profound, so earth-shattering, they created a polar vortex. Meteorologists say brought a snowstorm to Tahiti and began the melting of the permafrost in Arctic Siberia. We're talking the late great AI here, Joel Schnorkos Parkinson, Taj Mahal Burrow, and of course, our boy Wado. But the trip was the beginning of a budding love affair Wade would develop with the Pacific over the years. First Tahiti and later Bizarro Tahiti, better known as Pohnpei. What is it that has drawn you to the Pacific over the years, Wade?
Well, the waves just speak for themselves. It's the best. It's the most insane waves I've ever seen. And coming from tiny beaches and piddly reefs, like you see it over surf history. People coming from Florida and shit like that. Like we're chasing that stuff we see on the movies that we don't get to experience. And that's what. Well, everyone's different. But what was I going to say?
Yeah, just talk to us about Pacific energy.
Now I want to take him to Tahiti.
It's a whole different ballgame. We're talking scooped out, tripped out orbs of ocean breaking over 2-3 foot of water, like chopes.
Yeah.
I mean, especially in those days, like that's kind of early era chopes.
Yep.
Talk to us about that wave and how much fucking mind melter it was to rock up there as, I don't know, you're probably in your early 20s.
Yeah, it was mind blowing. I was so lucky to get in the trials every year to do that and spent so much time there. My surfing out there was a bit more of a slow progression than, say, like Dylan and Laurie that I'd go with every year. Even so, there'd be years early on where they'd be towing already and I was still watching kind of thing because it was fucking scary and they are, in my opinion, the best big wave riders in the world. So I just kind of like watched them for a few years extra before I got into it. But I don't know. It's just something about it. Like once you around those waves, you want to get one. Everyone's different, but like I just wanted to get one, and then eventually went into Dylan not being Laurie's tow partner anymore. And for 1 year I did it, and it was just like the craziest, funnest year I've ever done because I like don't even know how to ride a jet ski. And
what a place to learn.
Yeah. I learnt at Chippies. Yeah. So like I towed him into that cover he got, that Surfing Life. I think.
Oh, that thing's fucked up.
Whipped him into that and kind of learnt how to tow big waves there. And then Tahiti was on another level because you had to like drop him off and go through the reef and stuff and stay in the wash, keep the jet ski going because it cavitates and it's giant waves behind you and stuff. And then there was also like really pretty hot competition out there because it was like a lot of bravado and shit on the skis. And just remember one, like we actually had like wide brimmed cowboy hats on just for sun protection really, but it's and everyone was like snaking each other and shit, and we were just like towing out open ocean swells and doing flips off the back and stuff. And it was just like we just took such a lighthearted approach to our big wave tow partnership that it was just heaps fun. But then it would get serious because I'd be towing Laurie, who in my opinion is the best big wave surfer in the world in big barrels, and I've got the responsibility of getting him into a wave, and there's like a couple different skis like trying to cut us off. That happens like in that, like people feel entitled even though it's not their turn and stuff. And just remember like you looking back at Laurie like, what the fuck do I do? And he's like, don't you ever let those motherfuckers get my way. And just like go and just hold your own, try and cut their ski off. And that shit was just like, we towed for 3 days. And then I just remember like almost passing out on the third day on the ski. Just like I haven't been scared or like focusing so much for 3 days of my life, and I just like crashed, and I was like, Yeah, I was in a
Man,
hole after that.
That's
and
the first time I've ever heard of what is inside Laurie bubbling to the surface. You know, like what it takes and what you need to have to surf those waves as well as he does.
Yeah.
You need to have that bit of mongrel in you that, you know, you don't see it in him in his day-to-day life. Like, you just don't ever see that side of him where he's, like, screaming and just gone into beast mode.
Yeah, but it takes a situation like that for him to get in that. Like, he's an absolute psycho, and he's a hardened man, and he's from, like, a tough upbringing, you know? Like, his brothers are gnarly.
Yeah.
In no way are they pussies, that's for sure. But he's the coolest dude ever.
Yeah,
the
just
most
so
humble
cool.
dude ever. But he won't take no shit, and he stands up for what he deserves, and that's perfect.
And what about the late great Andy Irons? He was on that trip too, and he was a part of that same era that you were at Billabong. I mean, what was it like seeing him plying his trade inside gargantuan Pacific orbs?
Yeah, it's pretty
Humbling.
Yeah, just surreal, really. Yeah, that swell that him and Bruce were falling out of stuff, paddling, was I've never actually seen anything like that since, I don't think. Just the sheer mind-blowingness of what they were doing. Dorian was another one out there that was really incredible to watch. Ian Walsh as well. Manoa was in those days was the man. I mean,
Manoa
Raymond
Drolet.
is the man too, but Manoa Drolet was just silk. And I think that's what I fell in love with too, was he was silk on a wave that could like pull every limb off your body. And I was like, I didn't know people could do that.
Wow.
Like, we've seen it in Prior where it's kind of just like you just kind of squat and then do that layback or whatever and make it, you know. But then like Manoa came through, and then I reckon Loz through Manoa kind of worked out the silk in big waves and stuff. So I think that's a fucked up way to surf. If you can surf those waves smooth with style, is perfection.
Talk to us about how ocean behaves, like at a place like Chopes. Like, it's unlike anywhere else. Just how you have to commit to putting yourself under the ledge there, and the weightlessness on the drop. Fuck, the whole thing looks fucking terrifying.
Yeah, it gets fully proper beyond like those waves I've towed into. Like I'm talking about it like I'm a tow guy. I'm not. I did a year on it. You know.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, even the paddle
but
ones.
my experience,
ones that you paddled.
even the paddle stuff. Like it's just like a beyond vert situation, and it's and
What are
it
you looking
sucks
at?
up.
What are you looking at? You must be just looking at fucking bone dry.
You're looking at
coral.
like a underground bowl, kind of. On the big ones, on the ones I towed, it was like picture a curved wall like that, like around like a burr, like a giant burr with a tunnel, and then out the top of it around the corner you can see the mountains. That's what it looks like at the start. That's in the tow ones, and then and I was like shoulder hopping. So imagine what those guys are seeing. But like,
and then paddling it, like when
Paddling it is
when
just-
those big ones, they stand up, they don't move, right? It's like a fucking stationary
Yeah.
wave. You just there's no kind of sets approaching. There's just suddenly the fucking plug hole gets pulled, and it's
yeah, it's just a matter of like committing and paddling fucking crazy hard.
whilst the ocean's just sucking out beneath
Yeah.
you, but you're not moving. Like,
Yeah.
fuck, it's so odd.
Yeah, but it is so perfect that it's doable, you know. Except if you get a real West Bowl, you get fucked. I hit a West Bowl once, like tried to pull out backside. You know how it is, pull out backside. Tried to penetrate and just went straight up to the lip. It was in the comp actually, and went over the falls, hit my head like instantly. I've never like hit the bottom that quick, and it was just this big tink. And I just remember just being real dizzy, and then I cut. There was like blood spitting out of my head. Like,
Staples and the
yeah,
whole work.
but I was
B
really
grade
lucky,
horror film, Vaughn.
insanely lucky.
The heavy thing about
You
any
hit the bottom
cut,
quick if you're going to hit it there.
Like the journey with a cut, no matter even at a big day on the inside West Bowl, it's only just beginning because fuck the staff over there is outrageous. If you have any open wound, man, you get these little flies that just straight onto you, and I had blood poisoning over there from like a tiny little nick in in my foot. It just went so septic.
Sure, it wasn't all that heroin you were mainlining though, Vaughan.
Oh well, what Papeete? Is that the capital city? Fuck,
the
that's
pickup
a
spot, isn't it?
shithole.
Isn't
Holy
it?
moly!
It's
Fucking
funny.
hell, it's like Coolangatta 1984. It's really dark and dirty, isn't it?
Mental.
Yeah, I mean,
Nail in China.
staying
Yeah.
out the end of the road is the goal. You don't really want to go in there too much. We had so much fun there with Dill, especially. Just getting little matchboxes full of weed and riding
those
around
little
on jet
nuts.
skis and just like I remember like towing onshore like 8 to 10 foot chopes, and we just like would get ripped and then just tow at the wave, and it's really fun. It's like if you hit it before it breaks, it's like a giant like a snowboard kicker, and you could do all flips and stuff, and then. That's when we started getting into like the strap flip shit, and Dylan and that would make these tow boards that were like for strap like.
Yep. I've
towing
heard
jumps
Kai
and
Lenny
shit.
mention both you guys as like two of his all-time heroes.
Honoured. But yeah, it's just always fun shit going on over there. You're in paradise. And someone gave you a jet ski. It's like, what the fuck?
Yeah, at the end of
How
the
can you not
road
have
is
fun?
so beautiful, isn't it? Like that's like that Papeete is, and the end of the road could not be. It's heaven and hell. It's Hieronymus Bosch. That's what it is. It's a diptych of heaven and hell. It is unbelievable over there.
And I stay with the Mayoni family over there. And they're absolutely like beautiful old couple, mummy and papa. And they we didn't speak English. They didn't speak English. We didn't speak French or Tahitian.
Yes.
And we've had this relationship over many, many years of non-verbal. And it's a really special thing.
Fuck, you must be good at charades, Wade.
It's just, it's cool when you can simplify it. Like, I also kind of think about it now, it's kind of lazy on my part for sure, not learning any of the language. But like our relationship managed, and it was like, yeah, unspoken word is like, a thing I like.
Can I just share with you my experience of surfing chopes? Because it was pretty embarrassing. I was surfing it at 3 foot, and I'd borrowed like a 610 off Sam Carrier, like big wave board, because he was like, you'll need
Fucking
this.
love Sam
Got
Carrier.
out there, and it was just, fucking minuscule, still bending around the corner a little bit, but I ended up getting into one, and had that thing where, when you don't wax up and your back foot slips off. So you're sort of sitting down, and I ended up just getting completely punished, lagooned on a 3 foot day, which is pretty humiliating. Yeah. And then I was walking over the reef, and Shay Lopez goes to me, was that you? Was that you on that last one? I was like, yeah, man. He goes, that was the worst backside tube riding I've ever fucking seen.
You're on a 610. How are you getting in the tube? You must have been on the tail pad, Vaughan.
Fucking hell. I was like, geez, I've never ever ran a photo of Shay Lopez in waves ever again. Amazing. Only joking. I love you, Shay. Only joking. I wasn't that guy.
How good's Sam Carrier?
Oh, the man.
Oh.
Hey, he'd been listening. Samos.
Yeah, mate.
Coodaline God.
Up your mate. Up all the French crew who listen to this, the podcast. Big Swellian crew over there. And,
Allez, fleur.
yeah, it's a Force Medieu. Remember that?
Medieu?
Medieu.
As in Medieu Depardieu?
Yeah.
Depardieu.
Big shout out to the Frenchies and the expats.
Yeah.
Joan
Love you, boys.
Deroux, Sam Carrier, and of course, France's finest, Gerard Depardieu. Creative destruction.
Yes.
Fresh back from back to back, broken legs. Legs? Pfft. Who needs them, right, Wado? Wado strikes out and launches his own project with former sponsor Billabong as benefactor. My memories of creative destruction are of brooding, black-clad backside aeriverses of modern Australian surfing distilled to its corest essence. That is to say, crumbly, wedgy beach breaks, clinical power surfing mixed with mind-boggling power punts, and like all good Australian films of the time, a solid helping from Laurie fucking Towner. What are your memories of that project? Wado?
Way ahead of its time.
Yeah, looking back on it,
crazy.
I guess it
Yeah.
was. Like that was when blogs were kind of popping off at the start. It was actually all Jake's idea, Donlan, because anyone that knows me knows I'm not a talk show host. I'm rubbish at that.
Doing all right, mate.
You're doing good.
So hard on yourself.
Yeah, I know, but not a natural talent at that situation. So
Well, you know Oscar Wilde, but you're having a crack, mate.
Yeah.
That's what's important. Isn't it,
Anyway.
Bourne? Having a crack.
Have a crack.
Have a fucking crack.
anyway, that was super fun, and it was nice to start doing stuff that wasn't self-absorbed. So the whole thing was there was a bunch of stuff that were just surf trips, but there was also a bunch of actually themed and missions that we wanted to do, whether it's go to the orphanage in Mexico and shed light on that situation and how surfing is helping them. Through that episode, they were they ended up getting some massive donations.
Wow.
So
Sick.
through that, and then of course, the whole Metallica thing was really cool. And
Yeah, what was the go there? I vaguely remember that. Well, you're meeting the boys?
yeah, so just being a metalhead forever, I just really liked the chance to meet them, and it was really cool. Rob and Kirk were super into surfing.
Yeah,
And
Rob Trujillo, man. I got this classic photo of him in a Bondi board riders vest down there at Elksy Surf Shop on Campbell Parade. Full old school wax head.
So we were in Costa Rica, surfing with those guys and getting boat out to Witches Rock with those guys and surfing and stuff. And went to it was just all through Billabong's hookup, with the collab and stuff. But they were really, really nice, and the other two were not so nice.
That's not surprising.
Yeah, James didn't want to really bar of us, and Lars is he's
Just
seems
fucking
like a
choking that
What
hard.
was he
on his-
actually doing? Give us an insight into the dynamics of that.
I only saw
famous
Lars
band.
from a distance, and didn't look like he was doing much good shit.
He's famously good at gargling his own balls, though. I know
he
that.
might have been doing that. He was kind of hunched over. I have no idea what he's up to, but fuck, he doesn't have to.
Hunched over, saw him from a distance.
Yeah.
Sounds pretty fitting.
And
He's doing
James
the
didn't
Todd
really-
Carney, wasn't he? Just
Yeah, or the Gollum.
Hetfield didn't really give us much, but I don't fucking expect much from them, so it's fine.
you don't need it, mate.
Who cares?
And who are you helping out at Burning Man? Just the most fried fucking reptiles
Yeah.
I've ever seen.
That was a funny one. That was actually suggested by Billabong. Someone at Billabong. They're like, you should go to Burning Man.
Fuck,
I was
man,
like,
why aren't
okay,
sponsors
fine.
doing that now, Smithy? Where's the team manager for fucking, I don't know, Colt? Is that still
Bob
going?
Hurley, maybe? Chloe, you know what you need? Go down to the Nevada desert, get on the googs.
But how fucked up an idea is that? Hey, here, let's pay for these guys to go, and you're not allowed to film there, so it probably will get taken down. It's like
That's so
that
good.
is outrageous.
What was going on there? What's going on the ground at Burning Man circa, what was that, 2009, 10, 11?
I don't know. I think
What are
it
your
was,
memories
I
from
think
it? Do
was
you have any?
I think it was the beginning of it not really being what it was. Right now, it's cooked. I think it's a shell of its former self, apparently.
Yeah, Kanye West is glamping in towing McMansions and
Yeah,
Yeah, doing religious sermons and shit.
yeah.
whatnot. That's a bit much.
But it was just funny,
You got it at its prime, I think.
yeah. It was really fun.
I
And
mean,
we-
Luke Stedman told me he ran into a woman once coming back from this kind of TP tent, and she looked all euphoric, and he's like, "Where have you been, darling?" And she said, "I've just had 14 orgasms." There was apparently a cunnilingus tent where I think, what was it, women all sit down on chairs and they're kind of blindfolded or something, and men slowly rotate
my
some
God.
kind of carousel of fish eating. Ikan Bakata.
Whoa.
yeah, it's surreal.
Tap into any of that
Surreal.
way?
Yeah, I did actually. One night was huge. We rode our pushies into the desert because we saw all these flames going off, and then it ended up being 3 massive trucks. And the whole deal out there is they treat, if you're new, they treat you like shit and make you get in the dirt a lot. So
Hazy.
some guy was like, "Yeah, first timers, get in the fucking dirt, cover yourselves." And then we did it. I was like, okay. And then it was just 3 massive trucks. One was a giant grand piano, and each pipe, an organ, and each pipe, when he played a key, would shoot flames out.
Wow.
The other one was just this big thing that would build up like a hooping sound and then just shoot a giant ball. And then the other one was, I can't remember, but it was just 3 trucks shooting fire at each other. And he's like, "Oh, you never seen a fucking propane pissing contest before?" I was like, "This is too much." And then we and then there's all sorts of just illusionary stuff out there, which I love the art side of it. Like I've always had books of the installations and stuff. So that's one massive thing I wanted to check out. And you can never trust anything out there. And the moon was suspiciously low for that time of night. So we assumed it was fake and rode towards it for an extended period of time. And then, I just remembered like the sound of like 5 bikes skid, and then someone just like, fuck, real moon. And we turned around and then like went to this other hut, walked in, and I was the only one in there. And then there was these 2 twins in there, dude twins. And I remember they were standing at opposite sides of this giant wooden teepee, and they were just staring at each other, and I was kind of wigging, and then they just sprinted at each other at crazy fast, stopped just in time, and then just started making out. And I just ran out of there, and it was just really intense. So
And
there
you've
was
never
just
forgotten it, clearly.
No,
It's
never forgotten it.
something
And
you-
I was like, it's just one of those things. Did it happen? Did it not? Like, and that shit is out there. People are doing that shit, and the installations and stuff. It's like, I just like the surrealness of it all. It was really fun.
Whole thing sounds like.
But we didn't last very long. We ran out of supplies and stuff. We were real rookies, and we were leaving.
Ran out of
And
rock
everyone was
melon.
like, "Yeah, fuck, where are you going?" And it's like 6 days left or something. Like, oh, we got no more stuff. But I like the trade situation out there. It was really cool. Yeah, we just trade for trade and met
Yeah,
heaps of cool people.
You'd
and-
be minted with like a big box of like Billabong weddies and fucking.
Yeah, we didn't go back with much
three-quarter
shit. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. That was
well-
another good one that was a sign of the times, I reckon. How that went through was. I'm glad it did.
Dane Reynolds reportedly bringing back marine layers, as we'll find out more about later. But any chance of Creative Destruction getting another go, mate?
No way. No.
What would like now that you've looking over your career, we can see that there's big creative projects always on the boil, or somewhere in the near future for you. Have you thought about life beyond Pentacoastal now?
Not really. I mean, I'm thinking, and I don't really act until something seems right. I would never get into something like Creative Destruction again. That was a time, and it tried to get extended, but I bowed out because I felt it was unnecessary to keep it going. It did its job, and it was really good. And I don't ever want to waste anyone's time or overstay in any realm. So, fuck that. I would never do anything like that again. Pentacoastal took a lot out of me, like creative-wise, and
It's time to
I don't want to jump into that again right now, but I
just turn the dirt, mate. Turn the soil.
start digging a hole.
Let it regenerate.
Retill.
That's it.
I don't know. It's just, and these times are hard too. Who knows what's going on? Like, I'm heavily grounded, and who knows what surfing is going to be in the tail end of this pandemic. So it's really hard. I'm just enjoying hanging with my family and surfing and working on the computer on design stuff and that. I've been learning a lot of that.
Mentor.
And
You just said a word then, heavily grounded. What's the worst thing that you got heavily grounded for as a grommet? Have you got one?
we blew up my brother's pulsar in the driveway with soda bombs once. That was Dad wasn't stoked on that.
Yeah,
that
pulsars
was
don't
the
grow on
worst.
trees, Wade.
Yeah.
What about you, Surfcore? You ever cop a hiding from the folks for doing something?
Not from my folks, but from my best mate's folks. He'll know when he hears this. But they had like a Datsun 120Y, like the family. They had like a whole bunch. It was, classic rural Australia. There's sort of like 8 like composting cars in the backyard and stuff, all of like varying quality. And there was this Datsun 120Y that his older brother branded as like the paddock basher. And like, they have a big paddock there, and there's all these like iron barks and flatted gums in there, and we're doing, figure eights around them and all this shit. And then like I was like 13 or 14, I could barely drive a car. Like I'm like fucking doing this, but I'm the one behind the wheel when the folks get home from work.
Oh.
And they just jump out, and I was just in there, and I drive up, and I'm like, oh, hey, how's it going? And like, what the fuck are you doing? I was like, oh, I was just having a thrash in the paddock basher. They're like, that's not a fucking paddock basher. That's our main car. It was like belted radiator. It was just like busted, steam coming out. So fucked.
Smithy?
Yeah, we weren't really that kind of household, Vaughn. I mean, I would say to my mother something along the lines of, Mum, I'm going to the pub. And she'd be like, well, when are you going to do your homework? And I'll be like, well, I'll do it when I get back. And she's like, well, you make sure that dot to dot looks fucking top notch, Smithy. So, I mean, it was always a dialogue between us. And, I think, the proof is in the pudding. She raised a top-notch gent.
On your mate. Yeah. On your mate.
Do you remember the more core division dot to dots? Like those
the
2-page. Yeah, there was one where like Josh Kerr was doing a punt out of a chick's ass. Like it was like if you joined all the dots, it was like a naked chick's ass, and he's like flying out of it. It was so iconic.
Spit the Kersey. That's a new one. Wow.
That wraps up. This is your life, Goodsy.
Yay!